输赢是职业赛场永远绕不开的话题，谁都想成为赢家，但取胜的哲学却不尽相同。是坚持自我更进一步，还是寻求改变重获新生？是昙花一现的意外，还是磨难之后的复苏？
有点大，不过好在的就是这个小兵没有大龙 buff 的一个加成，似乎可以清掉正面想要强势的击杀玉米，被一个回旋的镖收掉了人头。
是把握机会再创辉煌，还是告别遗憾突破自我？
这个针眼的视野来
这个
找你来了，
今天很危险，没有进啊，没有闪现。
风走位，
哎呀，还是
这要硬灌死了，硬灌死了。
他这个没有闪现，这个位置刚说他稳了，吞死了。
是年轻无畏，天赋至上，还是王权永恒，强者恒强？一切故事的答案，都将由他们亲自书写。
Yet to come. Like summer nights, I'm gonna dance, tell you my name, and I'm free. You should do this here, talk about my day.
I never get tired of those hype videos, and I never get tired of the LPL. We're here in week 4, day 5. In the Jingdong Arena in Beijing. And you know what that means if you've been following the JDG series, if you've been following the pre-show. We're hopefully going to get another appearance from DX Master. But you know what? If we don't, it's okay. We've got an appearance from JD themselves. But looks like we're not going to get to see anything too exciting just yet. Welcome to the LPL. My name is Matt Niberic and Daniel, joined here by the lovely Clement Chu. And Clement, I'm kind of disappointed we didn't get to see DX Master.
Ah, come on. He's going to appear later. It's the Devil Dog Arena, so they're definitely going to have them. I love what they're giving their fans right now, giving them a little bit of horns, a little bit of anger to go up against Vici Gaming today.
We need a little bit of swag for the desk. Maybe we'll bring in some horns of our own. But you know what? We got to talk a little bit first about yesterday's matches because they were some bangers. Especially, it was just upsets all around, Clement.
Yeah, it was all about ending streaks. LNG finally found their match against BLG, and they stopped at 4 wins so far. And then on the other hand, we had WE avoiding a 5-game losing streak and actually taking down EDG in a convincing 2-0 fashion. So, you know what? The LPL is just getting closer and closer. Competition never fades away.
It was just a day of heartbreak, Clement, but this is not going to be, hopefully, for our teams here, for all of our fans, because take a look at the standings now. We have at the very top FPX versus RNG. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But today we're going to be having JD Gaming, our former spring finalist, coming up against Vici, followed by Invictus Gaming versus Top Esports.
Yeah, Vici Gaming still trying to find that first match win, and at the top of the bracket, very few teams still left. RNG and FPX are the ones to look for.
Yeah, and of course, first off, we're going to have, we already saw the Beijing Arena, Devil Dogs coming up, JDG versus Vici going to be the first matchup, and then IG versus TES, rematch at the semifinals from playoffs. We get to see Knight come out again. We get to see Invictus Gaming, who seem to be a little bit back in form. They've picked up a series win.
Yeah, even without Rookie, they were able to defeat EDG with their new mid laner Forge. Great performance for them. I hope IG is revving up.
And while this is an incredibly exciting matchup, let's take a look at our match of the week, which is going to be tomorrow. It is going to be FPX versus RNG, our former last split #1 regular season team versus our international representatives for almost all of 2018.
And make no mistake, despite what this picture shows, it is going to be Gunners Xiaohu coming on the Rift. Absolutely on fire so far. And FPX, they've only dropped 1 game as well. The 2 best undefeated teams in the LPL going up against each other. This is what we wanted to see for playoffs, but never got.
And it's so exciting to see RNG back in form because we have been having a lot of international success here in the LPL. Especially last split, we had MSI, we had Rift Rivals off the back of RNG, we had Worlds off the back of Invictus Gaming. And that is such an amazing feeling, Clement.
It definitely is, and we're really proud to announce that LPL, all 3 seeds at Worlds will now start in the group stages. Like you were talking about, all the Rift Rivals from 2017 to 2018 were won by the LPL. They had the MSI in 2018, and Worlds, of course, won by Invictus Gaming. So in this 2-year stretch, there's no question left that LPL has been the most dominant region, and Riot is finally acknowledging it.
And it's so exciting for us here coming in too, because this split has been so incredibly competitive last split as well. So is it going to be RNG who are going to take it down? We have Rift Rivals coming up, of course, very soon. I want to see how our top teams are going to perform there. But before we get to that, we need to look at our first series of the day, which has one of those top teams going to Rift Rivals. It's going to be JDG versus Vici Gaming. And for us, a lot of this matchup comes down to the support position.
Yeah, the shot calling aspect does come through in the support. For JD Gaming, we have Lumen, their captain, their roamer, and for Vici, we have Southwind, another strong, engaging support. But there are big differences here. Lumen, you can see his wards per minute are far higher. He loves to lead the lane and drop wards behind enemy lines, create that chaos early, while Southwind is more still about protecting the main damage dealer on his team, Puff, making sure he has that firepower. So I really see this as the roamer versus the protector, and the big question is, can Southwind and Puff put enough pressure on JD Gaming's bot lane to keep Lumen in check? If this guy starts roaming around, if he's on Fiddle, if he's on Nautilus, and creating chaos for your jungle, it's so hard to play the game.
Lumen is all the more important with the way JD Gaming have been playing recently, especially around the macro ideas. We have seen JD Gaming make some incredible plays last split. This split, we maybe haven't seen so many, but one of the plays that we have seen them make time and time again, as soon as the 20-minute mark hits up, they're like, all right, purple dudes on the field, we're going to go straight for the Baron every single time, every single opportunity.
They have been pretty much a one-note team so far. I'm not going to say I enjoy this macro play. A lot of their Barons are 50-50s, but this is the way that they've defeated Suning. This is the way that they found their win earlier in the split as well. So you know what? If it's working for them, keep on doing it. I just hope that JD Gaming will return to their prior form where they were able to play 1-3-1, where they were able to get consistent early game leads. However, this split, they're starting off. What they've been finding most successful is still their team fight strength. They still have that 5v5 potential. The Dumpling brothers are still great in these scenarios, and they're quick on the smite finger. They always seem to get these for some reason. And against the Suning series, we saw Baron dances after Baron dances go on for so long, and what we've seen from it is JD Gaming still have that good team fight instinct. They know what terrain they want to fight in. Right here, you see them goad Suning's poke composition into the river where they have the front to back, and then they wipe the floor with them. So JD Gaming, still great on team fight, still a lot of work necessary for them to get back to that finalist form where they had great early game, where they had great 1-3-1s.
The highlight package, I feel like, is a little bit disingenuous because those were all successful. Oh, man. We get DX Master. It's time for me to shut up. This is Vici Gaming on your screen, but in your ears is going to be DX Master and our lovely translator, Clement.
Oh, for your next team. They don't need to be introduced that much. Show me your cheers and your claps for JD.
I will never get tired of that, man.
It will be your standard roster today with Lumen starting. And important to note that so far all of JD Gaming's wins have been with their team captain, Lumen. When he hasn't been playing, 0.
Well, and on the other side as well, we didn't get to see it because we came into those a little bit late, but they are going to be running Jay from the side of Vici Gaming instead of Korn, instead of Ian, who they've been running very recently. Ian, of course, most recently on that pause.
Yeah, definitely. Jay used to play in the Spring Split. He was the main starter. However, Vici Gaming have been lacking a bit of firepower from their mid lane. Both Ian and Korn below 20% damage share, so they are going to bring Jay back. His best champions, I felt like, were probably Lissandra and Galio, so he's going to beef at that mid line and allow Puff to do his damage. Now, Puff is the main one you want to see on Vici Gaming. He's carrying 32.4% of the damage, and Vici's best comp is Ezreal plus Yuumi. They first picked Yuumi in all games in the previous set that they played, and if they get to the late game with that combination, very deadly. It will allow the two of them to carry the game.
I feel a little bit mixed on having Jay come back into the roster because on one hand, Ian was picking Quinn, and Quinn is one of my favorite champions. I was like, yeah, let's do it, Ian. But of course, the last time it resulted in I think a 4-hour pause, something like that. And by the end, like the first series ended, I think it was 3.5 hours after it began. So luckily, Ian, we're not going to be seeing that again. I don't know if it was because of the Quinn, but I'm feeling like it might have been. But instead, you know, you have both Quinn, or you both Ian and Korn on that roster who feel like and are significantly more experienced mid laners than Jay, but you're bringing him in instead, hoping that he has something to offer that they don't seem to.
Oof, it's got to be a change for Vici Gaming, and this is a position that they really haven't found an answer for in quite a long time. Currently, the way I say Vici Gaming is that they're being outgunned in the solo lanes. Not enough damage coming through in those lanes, and their team fighting becomes very one-note. They're all about kiting and just keeping Puff alive for as long as possible. So you're going to see a lot of Xayahs, a lot of Ezreals being selected by this team. However, I have to say it's not the best position to be in a drafting sense. They're not going to play a lot of flex picks. They ban Aatrox, they ban Akali most of the time, despite which side they're getting on. So Vici Gaming, this is a team that I feel needs a lot of improvements in their roster, needs a lot of improvements in the way they draft, and they're currently still looking for that first match win.
My biggest concern here for Vici is going to be for Chelizi, because while Zoom has not been necessarily performing recently, a lot of that, we've talked about it, is because he hasn't been getting a whole lot of support coming in from his team, from his junglers. But when you get Zoom going, when you let him do his thing, he has run over pretty much every top laner in the league.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see what Zoom takes out. These days that he's actually been going for a lot more of the scaling options. We've seen Victor, we've seen what else is, yeah, the Gangplank as well. So he's been going for picks that don't live or die by the early game. And that's something that we do have to take a note of. JD Gaming with Split, they had the highest kill first blood rate in the entire LPL. But this split, that hasn't really been working out for them. It's going the other way in the opposition. And against Vici Gaming, that's going to be a big sore point for the team. Vici Gaming, despite their record, actually have the highest first blood rate in the entire league. 80% first blood rate. So Youngdang has been doing something right. He has been finding Vici that early footing. So the way I see Vici wanting to play this game out is, first, you keep Zoom in check for a while. Make sure that Zoom is not able to teleport to the bot lane and just stomp on Puff however he wants to. And then you try to drag it out into the later phases of the game where you have a chance with a full item AD carry.
And I think Youngdang is worth talking about, especially because we have seen incredible performances from him that we didn't really see last split. We didn't see it from Ike's either, but I've been really impressed with Youngdang's ability to get off successful ganks, get off a lot of skirmishes in the early game, which is something that I didn't really expect to see coming out from him and coming out from Vici. And while they have lost 0-4 is their current match record, I don't feel like that accurately represents how well they've been playing.
Yes, they've actually taken games off of the top teams we have in the LPL. Against top esports, they were able to sneak out a win right there, and I believe they still have another match where it went to the full 3-game conclusion. So this is a team that actually shows a lot of fight in them, but they haven't had all the pieces put together necessarily. I think they're good at what they do, but the number of win conditions they have is quite limited. That's their only problem so far. I mean, well, it's kind of a big problem, but I would say that Youngdang has been a big part of stabilizing their early game. He's been mainly a Rek'Sai player. It's his most played. And funny enough, I actually feel like he's been getting very good synergy with Chelizi in the top side. So they've been finding a lot of first bloods there. Chelizi this time around, I would say his best champion is actually still the Nico, but he's been showing a lot of interesting flex picks. They've done it with the Olaf. They're not a, they're not a flex Aatrox Aurelia team, but at least they can do it with the Olaf and kind of fool opponents. And they've been finding success, at least in the early game for that.
When we talk about JDG, on the other hand of things, I feel like one of the things that we talk about the most is how much focus Zoom is or isn't getting. Do you expect in this series that to change? Because if you remember, cast your mind back to the spring playoffs. Cast your mind back to the match between JDG and RNG. The way that they won that matchup, they abused the top lane of RNG game after game after game. They're like, all right, Zoom, you're just going to win this game for us. You're just going to set yourself up. You're going to scale all the way to infinity. And as we were talking about, Zoom's already been picking those scaling champions like the Gangplank. So is that how you expect this draft to focus for JD?
I got to say, for JD Gaming, I think they take a completely different track. I don't believe that Zoom and Flawless have the best synergy. I just have not seen it being the case. So I think what JD Gaming are going to try for is actually give Yagao the lead here. Like Vici Gaming, Jay, he's coming back in the roster. He might be a little bit rusty. He didn't have the best performance in spring either. So try to make that your strong point and then just play off that lane. Get him something like the LeBlanc, get him something like the Zoe, and just have him roaming in the early game. I actually think that's the highest win percentage play that JD Gaming can bring out. And don't try to contest what Youngdang and Chelizi have been doing so well on. Like, they've been getting consistent first bloods, so maybe not try to fight that one-on-one. Try to win through mid lane. I think that's your best bet.
and we have seen Zoom abused by a little bit of the top lane gank earlier in the split. So let's take a look at the pick bans. Of course, that Rise is going to be coming out very likely here from Vici. Is a very strong flex pick, and it's one that JD Gaming haven't shown a strong proficiency on themselves.
Yep, and we actually haven't seen either of the mid laners really go for the Rise, so it's still open for JD Gaming to interpret where this pick is actually going to go. But I would like to point out in the ban phase, you do see JD Gaming being very aware about that Rek'Sai. They don't want Youngdang to get that first blood snowball going instantly off the board, and they've also taken away Southwind's Yuumi. So they're very conscious of the strong points of Vici Gaming.
We were talking about that Yuumi Ezreal possibility, and now Coach Home has taken away a lot of strength there from Vici Gaming, and this is a great start to the pick ban for them. They have a lot of lockdown so far with the Sejuani. It looks like Vici's responding with the Trundle.
Yeah, I love the Trundle pick into the Sejuani. Once she has her Aftershock, you start the subjugation, and the stats you've stolen, they're not a dynamic stat range. They're actually just a flat amount of stats. So after the Aftershock wears off, you actually still get the minus, the extra bonuses stolen from the subjugation. That's a great way to just knock out a single tank team from JD Gaming. Great counter. And then Vici has to show something new here. So they're most likely gonna go for the Renekton mid. We've actually seen a lot more success with the Renekton mids than strictly inside the top lane itself. But in this draft, it could also still be the top side because Rise is one of the main counters to Renekton. If you take that away, then suddenly he's kind of free to just roam in the top side.
Now, Renekton has also been an almost LPL exclusive pick, but of course we have the Kai'Sa coming out there for JD Gaming. That one's going to go over to Imp, and he has been very, very strong on that pick in the past.
Yeah, Kai'Sa has still been the bread and butter champion for JD Gaming. They want something stable to carry them through those late game team fights, but I have to say, it hasn't necessarily been the most successful champ. Kai'Sa, even with all the different builds available to her with the Mana Immune and stuff like that, her win rate in the LPL is still quite low. She loses out on lane priority. There's a lot of Sivir running around. She's very easy to gank if you run something like the Olaf. So I still expect JD Gaming to put most of their focus in the top side.
How do you expect this lane to go with the Kai'Sa and the Yuumi? I know it hasn't been locked in for Vici on the other side, but they have full reign over picking their bot lane composition, which lane they want to take at this point.
Yeah, I think the Kai'Sa and Yuumi is going to just be pushed in. You can see Xayah, okay, Xayah's banned out, but they still have a lot of options open here. The Lucian is still one. You could go for the Varus, which has been heating up recently. Anything with lane priority over the Kai'Sa that can keep her locked down, I think Vici are happy to take up. So I don't think it's going to be a massive issue here. It's just about, can Vici actually then swing their jungler down to the weak side of JD Gaming and take advantage of that? How much can they actually get out of Imp and Luma?
Vici, of course, all those bans going towards the solo lanes, but JD going to be able to pick up theirs at the time being, and they were focusing their bans on the bottom lane of Vici, trying to take out the Lux, take out the Kalista, those very, very strong laning options. So we'll see what JD pick up here for their last solo laner, and if that is the game playing locked in, that is almost 100% going over to Zoom.
Yep, this is exactly what I expected. JD Gaming leave the last counter pick for their mid lane. If you want to beat a team, you always want to basically beat them where they're the shortest. That's a Chinese saying, you take your long part and you beat their short part. It's basically, it's always the best idea in competitions. So I think JD Gaming, they're not going to contest Chelizi and Youngdang for now. They're going to leave Zoom on something that scales later into the game, put all of the eggs into the mid lane basket. But for Vici Gaming, they actually have an option here to just swing the Renekton mid lane. There are very few counters to that matchup. I actually can't think of one that goes well against the Renekton right now. Like, he's going to have lane priority early. He's going to be able to shove Yagao in. So if Yagao wants to play that matchup, he has to bring something new.
So now looking at the bottom lane, Vici, they've locked in the Sona Taric here for themselves. Puff and Southwind going to be rocking that one, and that's been making even more appearances in the LPL. At first, we weren't sure if it was going to make its way over here, but in recent matches, we have seen it so often.
I'm just enjoying Lumao's facial expressions right now. Are you sure you're going to go for the Syndra? I don't think the Syndra does much here. Are you sure about this? He's actually running out of options. There are not a lot of good counters against the Renekton. Zoe is Yagao's, I think it's his best champion by far, so at least he's going to have a snowball chance with that. But interesting enough, Vici actually still send the Renekton top side. Huh. Now, just looking at the champion picks, Jay actually hasn't shown Renekton as one of the champions he's played before, but he hasn't played this entire split. So maybe the Renekton was kind of a front. Maybe it was going to the top side the entire time. We don't really know based on our ban pick information. But I actually would have liked the Renekton still going mid and enjoying that priority overall. I feel like Ryze is a significantly easier champion to gank on.
Well, given that opportunity, I mean, we're looking at Chelizi and Youngdang going towards the top side, trying to get that snowballing against Zoom. And one of the combos we've seen very often with the Renekton, or at least fairly often, is the Elise, because it gives you very reliable, very early ganks. Is the Trundle going to give them that same opportunity to get off those early ganks onto Zoom?
Well, I think Trundle actually has quite a good gank against Gangplank. You can't orange the pillar. Like, it actually does not do anything for you, and it's a sustained slow. So even if you cleanse it, you're still going to get that 60% slow on top of you. And it's the way that Vici Gaming have been playing. So yes, I do expect a lot of pressure being thrown to the top side. What we should expect is Vici try to hold the wave close to their own tower, get that ganks down. We've been talking about this, but JD Gaming haven't really displayed the best coordination between their top side and their jungler, between Zoom and Flawless. So that is something that they can exploit. However, on JD Gaming side, I don't think they actually care that much. Like, Gangplank, as long as he's not getting 0-3'd in lane, you always have that mid lane to look forward to. So we said this before the ban pick was going to happen. I expected JD Gaming to play more towards their mid and focus on champions like the Zoe and champions like the LeBlanc. This is exactly what they did.
Well, looking into the bottom lane, because we talked about this, Kai'Sa Yuumi lane is going to be pushed in a lot. Is that still true against the Sona Taric? Because I don't feel like they have as much push as something like a Sivir would.
So what we've been seeing is that the Yuumi Ezreal actually beats out Sona Taric quite hard in lane. Just the poke is so strong that the W heal is not going to allow her to get into the game. But after a while, when she gets the entire, when she completes her quest and can start CSing, gets that double gold gain onto herself, then it sort of equals out. So I don't think that Kai'Sa Yuumi is as good as Ezreal Yuumi against that lane, because this is a lane that can get poked out. Sona's going to be able to return that fire, going to go tit for tat against Kai'Sa, and as Kai'Sa, you don't really have an option. You're going to take that damage. It's not like Ezreal where you can just stay back and farm. I still think that lane is not great for JD Gaming, and I think it's very smart for Vici to go down that route. To just say that, you know what, JD, I don't think your bot lane's going to be able to punish us enough. We're going to have full lane sustain here. We're going to be able to go into the mid-game fights quite easily.
Well, Vici Gaming going to be looking for a lot of power in the top lane, the early ganks, and they have so much with the Sona Taric in the bottom lane. So JD Gaming, it is their last hope. Yagao's Zoe at this point, it feels like.
Yeah, it's not really looking like the best. I think there's not a lot of synergy between Sejuani and Zoe. You don't get those melee stacks down on the Winter's Bite. So, not the Winter's Wrath from Sejuani. It's going to be a bit hard to get those ganks off correctly, especially when you see the cleanse onto Jay. So, it's kind of hard. I'm actually favoring Vici's comp overall.
Well, Vici Gaming have the better composition, but how's their execution? We're going to find out here in game number 1 of Vici versus Youngdang Gaming. What?
For chant for LGD. LGD exists in every single arena. I love what Vici did. Their early level 1 was quite smart. Drop a ward early in the river and prevent the possibility of a Yuumi plus Zoe gank happening. That's the most common type of gank, type of level 1 that we've been seeing recently. And I completely disagree with our... completely disagree with the Colonel right here. I think Vici actually just has a better comp from start to finish.
What we're going to have to see as we get into the early pathing here, both junglers starting on the bottom side of the map.
And we do see Trundle just start out alone. This is quite frequent for Trundles. No, I'm sorry. He actually did get a leash from his bot side, I believe. Yeah, we just panned over to him doing the buff alone, but he did actually get a leash from his bot side. We're going to see him going for the standard press the attack, not the SOFM fleet footwork.
SOFM just preferring that sustain, preferring that movement. But the bottom lane, not a whole lot has happened just yet, and both junglers are going to be looking towards finding their objectives. Of course, we talked about it. Flawless wants to look towards this mid lane, and Youngdang is going to be looking towards the top lane against Zoom, try and shut him down. This has been a successful strategy in the past for a lot of teams, especially this split, and that's the reason behind JDG's fall from grace, if it were.
Really good poke early on from the bot lane. JD Gaming actually doing better than I expected here. And if you guys want to watch how Zoom does it, you can head over to both Dory and Huya. They have tabs for your first-person view. I've actually been learning so much from these. I watch Karsa play, and a fun trick that you can do is that you can get timers with on my way pings. So that actually gives you a time stamp in your chant, and the way Karsa used that is after he finishes a scuttle, he does an on my way ping just to get timers for the next scuttle. That was really smart. Like just small things teams do.
Would you say that Karsa's your favorite so far, out of the ones that you've watched?
I think Uzi is very educational as well. The way he positioned in lane I felt was quite good. He was playing the Sivir with teleport, and you can see him always stand on the left side. It's actually much harder to gank if you're on the red side and you're standing towards the river, because the enemy jungler can't just cut you off when they're walking towards downwards. And just taking a look at the runes right there from Flawless, we do see Presence of Mind coming out. It's quite frequent these days. You want to gank as frequently as possible.
Plus the ultimate hunter, though, Clement. I mean, that is some real focus on those early ults. Flawless here to try and support Zoom a little bit. Just going to be there for a counter gank if it's going to come out. But instead, look at Youngdang. He's down on the bottom side of the map, going to try and pick himself up a scuttle. So JDG just up there to protect Zoom. On the bottom side of the map, Vici doing much of the same.
Yeah, and we've actually seen Sejuani's get double ultimates off in teamfights quite frequently. The last stage for Sejuani, it's only an 80-second cooldown, and if you have a lot of CDR, you have the Presence of Mind running during takedowns. It's so powerful in teamfights.
Zoom going to be able to shove out this lane now that he has actually pushed Chelizi in on this Renekton. Surprising to me, because I feel like Renekton definitely has stronger early game damage.
Well, the Renekton gets priority early. He has better wave clear from level 1s and level 2s, but recently we've been seeing the just the grass game playing be able to win out on sustained lanes, and also Flawless this time around did path towards the top side, got that scuttle early. Not much Renekton can do. If your jungler's not there, then you kind of have to give up the wave and play backwards. So they didn't get much out of that level 3 power spike for Chelizi, and now he's going to have to claw his way back into that matchup.
Speaking of junglers, look towards the top side of the map, and you're going to see Youngdang getting spotted out by a ward. He was pinged out by JD Gaming, and now he's not going to be able to find his way towards the mid lane. He's just going to head back to his Gromp. Teleport coming back from Imp there in the bottom lane himself. So this mid lane hasn't seen a whole lot of action. Out of the 3 lanes, it really has done the least, and both mid laners doing just fine. Even in CS, both have the Darksteel Corrupting Potion, so far it feels like a bit of a handshake of a lane.
I will say that Yagao has a sizable lead here because he actually blew the cleanse off camera from Jay. So he's not going to have that for the next gank. If he can land a Sleepy Troubl bubble, it should just be a kill.
So that possibility there if Flawless comes in to gank, but he is level 4, so if he wants to wait till level 6, it'll be just a little while. Scuttle Crab going to be spawning in the top lane very soon, so that could be a point of contention because both of these junglers are on that side of the map, both the mid laners at about equal strength, sans the cleanse as you mentioned earlier. Yagao still not blowing his, has the barrier there. He's going in for a little bit of a trade onto Jay, putting a lot of damage down, but he senses something's off. Youngdang here and Flawless might spot each other out. This could be a mid lane fight.
It's not great for Flawless. Oh, he holds on to the Arctic Assault. Great use for that ability.
Really well played here. Yagao not going to find the Sleepy Troubl bubble onto Jay, and Youngdang just going to help his mid laner push out, try and get a little bit of priority here in the mid lane. They have to be careful.
We can see that Jay actually had a bit of a rough laning phase, to be fair. Not really getting the tier on the first buy, and ooh.
It's a lot of damage going down there. The problem, though, I feel like Yagao just has nowhere near enough mana to contest this. That was after popping a Corrupting Potion, and he barely has not even a fifth of his mana left.
Yeah, I have to say that Yagao is still winning in this lane quite sizably, but Flawless is in trouble.
He's in trouble. Chelizi has already roamed down Yagao. You really don't want to go too far for this. He's trying to get a little bit of poke there onto Vici. There goes the Cannon Barrage. This Scuttle Crab, this better not turn into a 3v3 over a Scuttle Crab, guys. It's 6 minutes in. The flash comes in. The stuns onto Flawless.
Ooh.
First blood onto Chelizi. Sorry,
Ooh.
Youngdang, and he picks up the Scuttle as well.
Yeah, that was way too far forward for Flawless. I don't think he had his frozen armor either, so falls down to a single combo by Chelizi. That was just pushing it too far forward. They thought they had the scuttle coming back their way and maybe having Gameplank there, but Gameplank really isn't a champion that's going to have lane priority against the Renekton early on, so just pushing it way too far. No mana on Yagao either.
Unfortunate early trade there from the side of JD Gaming, but now at least the top lane is still going well for them. Zoom actually down in 13 CS, so maybe I misspoke a little bit there. Going to be able to catch this wave under tower, however. A lot of pressure coming out from Chelizi, even with that 3v3 where he took that time out.
Yeah, interestingly enough, you can see that Zoom is holding on to his teleport for an extra buy over Chelizi, and that's why I think the CS difference is coming in on. I'm really curious to see what Gameplank is holding on to his teleport for. I think the main reason that that's happening is just because his lane was in a very bad position and didn't have vision, so he had to just hold that on instead of risking a gank and then dying there.
I'm interested in seeing, if you look at Flawless, he's already burned his flash in that earlier engage. Once he hits level 6, I want to see how willing he is to go in for a gank towards the mid lane or towards another lane if he decides it's a better priority for him. Because without that flash, you lose a lot of reliability in your combo. You can't land the Glacial Prison as easily. Arctic Assault not guaranteed as much. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. He has hit 6 now.
Now, normally I would say just go for the bot lane. You have two champions without any movement abilities. However, if you look at the entire rune choice, it's going to be a bit difficult. There's no press the attack onto Imp, and Tark, if he gets his ultimate down, which he already has now, is going to be able to get that invulnerability off. So Flawless is actually in a bit of a tough spot. I don't think he's going to be able to find easy kills, unless Yagao does that.
Yeah, that's just a free Sleepy Troubl bubble into the mid lane. Not going to be able to follow it up with another Paddle Star, but just the Paddle Star was able to chunk Jay down to half.
Yeah, and you can see the build timings for Vici is just so suboptimal. You really want to get that early 500 gold back to get your tier early, but
Flawless
Jay hasn't
here.
been able to follow that.
Redemption goes down to the mid lane. Lumao's here to roam as well. Flawless goes in. Glacial Prison cleansed away. Jay was able to pick that one back up, and now Yagao just trying to zone off Youngdang a little bit here. Lumao is still up here. He's just having the time of his life in this fight.
Ooh, can he actually get the slope? That was actually quite close. Youngdang no flash. That was something that they could chase down on. And I love the idea of pairing Zoe together with the Yuumi. You can lengthen the range for Prowling Projectile when you use that portal jump. Send it forward, get that slow down. So that was actually a lot closer than we thought it would be. And I think that's the way JD Gaming have to play this and get that Zoe going.
Well, you were talking about suboptimal back timings there from the side of Vici, but for JDG as well, if you look at Imp at this point, he's got the tier and the pickaxe. Usually, when we see Kai'Sa's pick this up, you want to go for the pickaxe. Your next back wants to be the Mana Moon, but this time not going to happen. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, may turn into a 2v2. Final Chapter comes in from the Yuumi, able to get the slow. A great jump in there from Lumao, and that's a kill onto Jay.
That's just the situation where you don't have priority in the bot lane, the wave isn't getting shoved in, and you allow Lumao to roam. The support roamer situation coming in. When you have that team captain going around like that, it's so hard to dodge out. And that was great usage of the Cannon Barrage as well, completely shutting out where Jay could go. Jay thought he was safe just having the Trundle on the left side, but it wasn't the case.
No, now JD Gaming going to be able to capitalize on this. They should be able to pick up this Ocean Drake fairly easily for themselves. Of course, Zoom having a little bit of trouble in the top lane still, down 20 CS, but this Ocean Drake should help him out in trades like that where he takes so much damage. Now he has a little bit of extra sustain for the rest of the laning phase.
Yeah, great early start for JD Gaming, and just taking a look at the kill, didn't go over to Zoe, bit of a pity there, but Flawless at least finds his footing back into the game.
He's almost got his flash back up, but more importantly, the Rift Herald going down to Youngdang. But this means Flawless has his ultimate as well, so he and Lumao are going to be able to do a whole lot to zone off of this bottom turret here from the side of Vici. Rift Herald's been dropped on the top side. It looks like this is going to be a race for the first blood turret.
I really like what Vici's bot lane are doing right there. You shouldn't be too afraid of walking forward.
Oh, Zoom in a lot of trouble. Might be able to get the kill onto
Oh!
Chelizi. He does find it. The teleport comes in as well to defend the top lane tower. Beautiful play there from Zoom.
Oh, and they didn't get the auto attack off on the barrel. Gameplank does find the explosion, and also the life of Chelizi right there. Not even the flash was able to take him away. You can't flash away from a parlay. So good play there, and they take away the Herald as well.
They stopped the tower from going down, not able to pick up one of their own. But let's take a look at that play one more time.
And Chelizi was a little bit low. If he was making that play, he shouldn't have been at that HP. Let's watch the explosive barrel. He does actually get it. Oh, that was rough.
Gets it off the auto, too.
Yeah.
That is disgusting mouse accuracy coming out there from Zoom, but about what we expect. Last split, a lot of us were ranking him towards the top 3 of our top laners. Just incredibly mechanically talented, incredibly good in those 1-3-1 situations that we saw JDG find themselves in more often. And turns out when you're on the weak side, you can use a lot of those mechanical outplays to your advantage. And this time, Zoom not going to be put down by all the ganks toward him. Wow!
that was creative.
Yeah, that's a huge amount of chunk, too, onto Jay. Taking about half his health from the Paddle Star and Proto Belt. Temporary, of course. Yagao not actually built it himself.
Yagao actually won this lane a lot harder than it looks on paper. He delayed Jay from getting a tier until 10 minutes and had an early cleanse lead over him. So I actually feel like if Flawless didn't give up first blood, this lane would be very close to being uncontrollable at this point.
JD Gaming have picked up quite a few items at this point. They've also rotated the bottom lane towards the top side of the map, but Zoom has got his Trinity Force on the bot side of the map. Imp has picked up his Man Immune, so he's going to start that one stacking. Of course, double tier on the side of Vici, so they're going to be waiting for those later item spikes, whereas JDG have a little bit more of a fighting chance here in the early stages of the game, but Zoom getting focused so hard by Chelizi and Youngdang no matter where he goes.
The Chelizi and Youngdang combo, it's great to see these young players get some synergy between each other, just taking that turret plating wherever they can find it. They know the numbers advantage they had just in that split second. They saw JD Gaming and then their bot lane in the top side, so just a safe play to do. And as a jungler myself, I definitely encourage you to do more of that. It's just free gold on the map.
Going to be picking up quite a bit of that free gold, giving them about a 1.5k gold lead. Good slow coming in from the Prowling Projectile onto the bottom lane of Vici. So now Imp going to be trying to farm up and contest here against the Sona Taric lane, looking for the scaling. But once it gets into the team fights, Clement, at this stage of the game, or within the next 5 minutes, we'll say, if a team fight breaks out, who do you favor here?
Well, I actually favor Vici. I feel like they have a better front line at this point, and Sona's ultimate, Crescendo is just better than Final Chapter, objectively speaking. It does less damage, but you get the instant stun down.
Redemption comes out, tries to zone away there, going to be able to stop Vici from the engage, but it looks like both teams might be roaming down for this still. They might still be looking for a contest at this point.
The best scenario for JD Gaming is actually just to get the burst down onto Sona. Sona can't do much during those short phases. She has one of the lowest HP bars, so you're really looking for that sleepy Troubl bubble into maybe Sejuani ultimate, instantly kill her. That's a great solution to it. But otherwise, if it's being a set fight where Vici can form their can form a formation, I think that they have a sizable advantage here.
Well, we take a look at the turret platings, and it looks like Vici got the better end of those. A lot of them in the top side, a lot of them in the bottom side. All of them picked up by Chelizi and Youngdang. Meanwhile, JDG only able to pick up 2. Not quite what they were looking for. A lot of damage there onto the J, plus the exhaust comes out from Yagao.
Free exhaust, by the way. Didn't have to expend anything for it.
Yep. He's still rocking that cleanse, still got it in his pocket. And it looks like Vici going to be looking towards the top side of the map. Imp and Lumen are going to be having to be very careful up here.
So taking a look at the CS score, despite what conventional wisdom says, this is a Frost Queen's claim. So being behind 80 CS is actually perfectly acceptable. You're having 3 sources of income with the Kleptomancy, with the Tribute stack still going, and then you can CS as well. So you're going to see Sona rapidly catch up to the item disadvantage that she has, and I actually think this is a bit of a failing grade from JD Gaming to suppress the Sona. They didn't actually put enough pressure on this lane.
They haven't suppressed the Sona, but they've set up their Kai'Sa for success. She has the Q evolve. May need it if this turns into a full-on dragon fight at this point. Gets the W for the scouting.
Watch how they're positioning Sona. They're not letting her take any crowd control from the front. They're not going to let her get burst down. If you can get 2 Ws down in a team fight, it's so damn hard to actually lose.
Dragon's resetting. About 2,000 health at this point. JDG, are they going to look for the fight? They get the slowdown onto Southwind. A lot of damage there. Here comes the ultimate in from Flawless. Are they going to re-engage onto it? Here comes the Cosmic Radiance. Looks like Vici's just going to rotate off towards the Dragon. And Flawless not able to secure it. Picked up by Chelizi of all people. But the fight breaks out. Flashes away from Vici.
So I actually felt like Vici used the Cosmic Radiance a little bit too early. They didn't block that much damage and gave JD Gaming a second offensive opportunity. They do get the Drake, however. But that was a team fight where I felt like they actually had a little bit more of a lead where they could press and still go JD Gaming into going on their composition.
And if you take a look at the side of Vici Gaming, you look at those lovely summoner spells, you'll notice something. 4 flashes were used in unison in that last fight to get out of it. So at the very least, JDG don't walk away with nothing. The next 5 minutes, if they look for a pick, if they look for a team fight, those flashes are gone from everyone but Chelizi.
Oh, JD Gaming won that fight, hands down. Getting that many flashes in a team fight and getting another tower, I actually think that's far more important than getting just the Mountain Drake. And that just comes down to ultimate usage. Luma had a great angle on that final chapter, right against the terrain, and Vici all had to scatter. He could have followed that up with the Killer Instinct as well, so there's a lot of ways to reposition on this composition. Really smart idea to allow Final Chapter to get the best use.
Looking at JD Gaming then, as you're saying they won that fight, what are they going to be able to do in the next 5 minutes to capitalize on these missing flashes? How do you want them to segue this advantage into a further one for themselves?
Well, we've been talking about JD Gaming's win condition, and it's been Baron and Baron only, so if you get the next Mountain Drake, I think that's a great way to start, wouldn't you say?
It's a pretty good start, Clement.
Yep.
That's going to be 3.5 minutes till that one starts. But in the meantime, in the mid lane, Vici rotating pretty much everyone up here. Free flash being used by Yagao. He's not that aggressive.
JD Gaming do just have the range advantage with Gangplank barrels and with Zoe poke. So the way I expect them to play this out is just try to get the next Mountain Dragon, set up around Baron, and try to find those instant catches. You actually do have great crowd control to finish off those kills. While on the other hand, I feel like Vici is going to have to spread the map out a little, try to take the pressure off one centralized point on the map.
JD Gaming going to be pushing in towards this bottom side of the map. It doesn't look like anyone from Vici is going to be able to contest them at this point. Southwind just trying to clear out wards as best he can, but that's not going to be able to establish a whole lot for you, my friend. So JD Gaming walk away with the bottom inner turret.
Yep, this is fine as long as Southwind doesn't die here.
Oh,
never
here's
mind.
the sleepy Troubl bubble prowling projectile. There comes Yagao. There comes the prison. But it doesn't matter. It's not enough to take him down, and those were 3 ultimates used there from the side of JD Gaming.
Vici trading 1 tower for 1 tower. They want a split push option on the map, so I think this is acceptable for them, but they do need to defend this.
Southwind really low, not going to pop the Cosmic Radiance just yet. All ultimates are available from the side of Vici if they want to try and turn this, but JDG have so much poke here with all of their members up in this mid side of the map.
Yeah, Vici Gaming are so reliant on that flash from Sona. If they don't get the flash crescendo, it's actually very difficult for them to lock down JD Gaming. So I think that's the reason that you're seeing Vici Gaming back off. Puff trying to walk forward, maybe get in range of that crescendo. JD Gaming realizes the situation, instantly backs off, and they get a lot of free damage on that mid lane tower.
We were talking about the flash advantage that was gained from that first team fight, and the the unfortunate thing about it for JD Gaming is that once that dragon spawns, you have about 20 seconds to start capitalizing it, to start forcing a fight before that advantage is completely nullified, because those flashes all came after the dragon fight.
If you know Lumal, you know that's enough time. Captain Lumal will make it happen. So I still think JD Gaming have a very good option to just set up here. That 20 seconds is enough of an edge to actually allow you to get vision advantage over that area.
Hopefully they'll have the ultimates back up in time, of course. Flawless with that Rune setup. It already has his ultimate available in just a few seconds, which is just absolutely insane levels of CDR.
Yeah.
I love seeing that kind of optimization, though, because Flawless said, I have one plan and one plan only for this game. Hit the R button as many times as possible. Presence of mind, Ultimate Hunter. You're done.
Yeah, so Sejuani is a pick that's really been coming over from the LCK. We actually didn't see many Sejuanis in the first couple of weeks, but after it was the most picked champion in the LCK, LPL did follow up. Teamfight advantages seem to be a little bit more important now that the lanes have been more stabilized. We see this happen in the early split of the LPL. Usually everyone's crazy at the start of the split. All the lanes are dying constantly, and you're like, wait, so Johnny has to wait till 6? That sounds like a horrible champion. But later on, as everyone kind of gets their own footing back, teamfight becomes more and more important.
Here comes the dragon spawning in just 18 seconds at this point. JD Gaming have the flash advantages. They have all their ultimates available. So at the moment, if Captain Luma is able to find a pick off the back of Imp, just having him as the little backpack, it's like Yoda and Luke. He's just guiding him towards better vision control. But 3 seconds remaining. Looks like Vici might be looking for a fight here. They still don't have their flashes available, but they're coming up very soon. Looks like they have ticked over. So JD Gaming weren't able to find the advantage they were looking for.
Yeah, this Trundle doesn't really do anything in this composition. He's getting outranged by JD Gaming, so his pillar protection, if he can use his pillar in an offensive manner, like Flash Pillar alongside the pit, then maybe he can get something done. But but it's going to be very hard for Troubl to be useful here.
This is interesting from Vici. They're saying, okay, we've seen how you've won games, JD Gaming. Let's try it for ourselves and go straight towards the Baron. Fortunately for them, JD Gaming on the better side of this, and Flawless is going to be starting up that Mountain Drake we were talking about.
And not the best call from Vici Gaming. If you look at the vision control, Vici actually didn't sweep Baron at all. So, not sure what they were trying to do with that Baron bait, and it gives over a free Mountain Drake to JD Gaming without any contest.
JD Gaming going to tie out the Mountain Drakes with that. It does allow them their favorite win condition in the Baron, but Chelizi going to be 1v1ing Zoom in the top lane. The Redemption going to help him out quite a bit. Jay is up here as well, but Yagao is. So both solo laners from both teams just going to be chilling out here on the top side of the map.
That was so well played by JD Gaming. He set up vision on the top side and then forced Vici towards the top.
Oh, here comes the ultimate and the engage. Final chapter comes down. Cosmic Radiance is out, but do they have the burst? They don't. Southwind does not go down. Youngdang with the zoning pillar. And this is what you were talking about earlier, Clement. If you can't burst them out, that Cosmic Radiance is going to spell the end of any fight from JDG.
Yeah, they did go for a sustained build on Imp, so no press the attack. He is going to have a lot shorter bursts, but I actually like the timing they went on there. As soon as he got the Mura mana, the 2-item spike, instantly try to go for a kill. They do burn the heal and the ultimate, and they get something for it. So I have to say, JD Gaming overall, they've been playing this map far better than Vici.
Well, speaking of the tiers, though, Clement, because if you look at Vici's side of the game, they have 2 as well, both of which have turned into the Archangels there on both Jay and Puff. So they have quite the capacity to fight as well, especially with the 2-item spike coming in from Chelizi. So around these next objectives, these are going to be very, very active fights.
Okay, Chelizi has better be thankful that Zoom did not turn around. He was teleporting in there half health in front of Zoom. I was like, okay, probably not the best idea. You can see the Colonel does agree that Vici did have a good lead for most part of this game, but then JD Gaming took it over with those mid lane maneuvers. Better vision set up on the side that they wanted, getting that Baron early and forcing Vici into full vision, like Vici trying to do a Baron bait on JD Gaming wards. Cost them a lot of time, cost them position, and I think that's the main reason that JD Gaming has actually established this lead now in the mid game.
This is an interesting question for a JD Gaming game from this split, because I didn't think I'd ever have to ask it, Clement, but when are they going to look towards the Baron?
It's going to be soon. They already have the vision for it. Currently, I think what they want to do is just make sure that the lane is pushed out far enough that Chelizi cannot be a threat, and they're all going to move over. This is exactly what's happening on the map right now. You can see the wave is going to hit around River, and they already have Zoom around the area.
They're looking Zoom here on the flank. Probably Projectile coming out. They
comes
might
the
look for the engage. No fun yet, Clement. But they are trying to set up around that Baron. Chelizi on the bottom side of the map, going to pick up the red buff, so he'll have a little bit of slows, a little bit of regen there for himself, and this fight is going to be breaking out around the mid lane potentially. Everyone's positioning around this Baron. They know if anyone moves too far, the fight could break out at any time, because I feel like Vici still have the items to fight at this point, especially with the Archangels coming out from both of the mages on the side of the map, but Baron at least warded up for the time being for JD Gaming.
Yeah, I think JD Gaming can afford to wait. Morello is actually a huge power spike for Verzoe against this composition. Just the healing reduction is going to be quite crucial. You want to get that before you really go into the team fights. Gives you a much better chance to burst the Sona out.
Yagao has picked up the wave, and now we're looking towards the mid lane tower. Vici Gaming pushing in with all 5 members. Sleepy Troubl Bubble lands there onto the side of Youngdang. He's chunked down to half health. Prowling Projectile not going to be able to land on him. Cannon Barrage coming in for the slows. JD Gaming still going to be looking for this fight, but they don't have the chase for it. Oh my god, that is so much damage on the pump. There he goes again. Looks like there's going to be the Cosmic Radiance for the time being to stall out the fight, but Imp just flashes over the wall. Get the hell back here, and you're going down. 4 kills for the side of JD Gaming and a triple kill to Imp.
And that was just way too slow. Great damage coming in from Gameplank, landing onto the Sona,
Oh, no.
and no hesitation.
Sleepy Troubl Bubble lands, and Chelizi loses most of his health, so now half of JDG can just work on this tower, the other half can work on the Baron, and this time, Clement, I am so happy that JDG are going towards the Baron.
Yeah, JD Gaming do handle poke quite well. When they have a composition that outranges and has very clear initiations, they're able to draw Vici Gaming where they want to be. Vici Gaming, they thought that JD Gaming was in the Baron pit, so they want to put a little bit of pressure mid lane. They get tagged instantly from Youngdang and just bursted it out. I actually want to see what found Puff during that team fight. He seemed like he fell to just 40% health instantly. I think it might have been something to do with Zoom, maybe the Gameplank, but it could also come from Imp as well. He is going for the AP route.
If I recall correctly, it was the Ludens plus max range Paddle
okay.
Star. but we get to see it, Clement.
Taking a short note here. So not a lot of vision around the Raptors. A big no-no when you're fighting against this Zoe composition. It does not seem to be the W. Like you said, it was the Paddle Star followed up by the Icathian Rain from Imp, and that was just an instant kill. The ultimate was far too late from Southwind. Very long cooldown and burn in the previous fight. So JD Gaming with a good counter.
Vici have been able to pick up some items for themselves, but it doesn't seem like it's going to matter if they've lost all those ultimates, if they've lost all those flashes. Worth noting, Cosmic Radiance will be up soon, Crescendo still available, so they have the potential to fight over this Mountain Drake that's just spawned, but Imp is going for it immediately, and I don't think there's any way for Vici to contest at this point.
No one's going to be in range for this, and JD Gaming are going to hold on to this. If the game does go long, they can go into the second Baron Dance if they so choose to, but they're looking to finish it right now. Already a 5K advantage here, and they have silent pressure in the bot side, and they have poke. They're just going to set up a siege and force Vici to run into them.
Well, it's not a 1-3-1 Clement, but at the very least a 4-1 has started here for JD Gaming. Going back to their roots a little bit, relying on Zoom for the poke, but he is potentially going to be stuck, caught out here. 4 members of JD Gaming, or Vici rather, are walking towards the bottom side of the map. But
I love that Mikhail's coming in from Drumal. A very rare item to see these days, but it makes a lot of sense. If the enemy can only crescendo, they can pretty much only hit the Kaisa, and if you can cleanse for Imp, no other target's actually burstable.
Cleanse for Imp, you cleanse for yourself there for Lumen. Justification coming in from him. Baron is on both of these cannon minions, so Vici really need to push them off at the time being, but Zoom is here on the bottom side of the map, just chunks Jay down unbelievably low. No flash available for Zoom, so no flash parlay coming in, but here comes the final chapter. Here comes the engage from Imp. So much damage, but the Cosmic Radiance going to keep the side of Vici alive for the time being. Can they find the damage to take down JD Gaming? They look for Flawless. Chelizi has to go golden in the backside of the fight. Youngdang goes down. Chelizi to follow, and it looks like JD Gaming might just be looking to end the fight at this point. Jay taken low by Imp. He turns onto the tower. Realm Warp to safety is what Jay decides to do, but you just left your Nexus turrets open, my friend. JD Gaming, the teleport comes in. They're keeping the minions alive, and they're going to be taking game number 1 versus Vici Gaming.
Strong show from JD Gaming. They understand the matchup so well. Just keep your mid lane fed. Give that Zoe over to Yagao. Let him carry you to the finish line. I really liked what Vici's composition had. I felt like they weren't pressured a lot. And if they had a better showing around those first 2 Drakes, then they could have had control of the map. But unfortunately for them, JD Gaming out-team fought on the first Drake. They got multiple summoners. It was a 4-summoner advantage. And then during the second Drake, Vici Gaming did not contest. They ran it into a Baron bait where JD Gaming had full vision. JD Gaming took the mid lane turret. They took the second Mountain Drake uncontested. And after that, I felt Vici Gaming just lost their way on how they should play the game.
It felt like a lot of this for Vici was, like you said, it was just a lack of direction. They lost the feel of the game. I don't think it was necessarily exactly how to play as well, but it felt like they were just waiting for things to happen, and JDG were just always there first. And my first question to ask here, where the hell has this JD Gaming been all split?
Well, I can tell you something, they haven't been here. That's just unfortunately the fact. But what I want to comment on JD Gaming is that this feels like a much better draft from Coach Hong. Now, JD Gaming, in their previous losses, I think a big part of the reason why they weren't forming up was they had some very suspect drafts. They were giving over power picks the entire time. Like, oh, here, have Aatrox. How about Yuumi Sivir? Do you want to roll off as well? Sure, let's give that to you. But this draft fit the matchup correctly. I think they had the right read that you want to give something scaling for Zoom. Chelizi, Youngdang, despite they haven't won a lot of matches, but that synergy is actually ongoing. It's visible, so you don't want to contest that. That hasn't been the strong suit for you. Just try to play around mid lane, try to play around the better roaming tendencies of Lumen, and let that carry you to a strong finish. So I think for me, drafting was really important. We're seeing more sensible macro plays coming in from JD Gaming, and their team fight is still there. The team fight has always been there.
This is like such a massive improvement from them, not just in the draft. And I think one of the things in the draft that I found personally really interesting was that they were just like, yeah, we can't play Rise. We've put Yagao onto it so many times last split. He won none of the games. Let's just accept that we're not going to be picking it, give it over to the enemy team, and then we pick the 2 power picks we wanted. They got the Sejuani, they got the Yuumi, and both of them put in so much work. I mean, that CC combo, we saw it multiple times. Final Chapter plus Glacial Prison decided so many of those team fights before they even began.
And the smart thing about that composition is that it's so easy to get a good anchor and follow someone down. You talk about the Kai'Sa, which you can actually Killer Instinct and bring that Prowling Projectile a very long distance. You can actually follow the entire Kai'Sa the entire way over, so that's a very interesting combo. And also, you can use the invisibility and get that going as well. So there's a lot of smart things about that I really like, and it was definitely planned. I like the way they diffuse the Sona turret composition by just going for a poke comp and having an idea that, hey, you know what, we have AP Kai'Sa, she's going to have a lot of Ws that hit super hard, and we're also going to have Zoe in the backline. We don't have to run into this ARAM composition. And once Vici kind of messed up on the big 5v5s that I felt that they had an advantage in, then JD Gaming just took over the game.
The spark of life has returned to our spring split finalists. We get to see if they're back to form in game number 2, if they can take the 2-0 over Vici, or if Vici come back. We'll be back in just a few minutes with just that.